back to Booktalks Podcast. This is Kayla.
And Marissa.
And we're finally back together. And this week we're discussing Love in the Time of Serial Killers to celebrate our October spooky reads.
Yeah.
I thought this had great marketing, like great title, great cover, great book.
Great book. And so cheeky.
It was cheeky. At first, I was unsure if I liked her voice.
Oh, that is so funny that you say that, because literally the first 30 to 50 pages, I was like, this is cringy. And then by the end, I loved it.
The first half, I was like, she's kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But then she grew on me. I think we got to know her overthinking self more. And we're like, oh, okay, this is just like her overanalyzing everything.
Yes.
And is this what it's like to live in your brain?
This is what it's like to live in my brain 24/7.
Whenever she talks about how she like thinks of everything like serial killers and like anything like the neighbor did that was like remotely nice, or even like the lady next door, she's like, what is that girl? What is she hiding in her garage? Like, I kind of thought of you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always thought I was just a scaredy cat. And then, like, I found out I had anxiety. And I was like, I think I just don't trust anyone because of my anxiety. And I think everyone is out to get me. And I'm a paranoid freak. And that's okay, because this book says that's okay.
I do feel like maybe this girl also needs a little help.
She's a little unstable.
I mean, and you got diagnosed, and I feel like she hasn't reached that point yet.
Everything that happened in this book, she brought it back to serial killers, and like that was honestly impressive and scary.
I didn't know. Whenever I told my friends about this book, they're like, "That's like a scary book," and I was like, "No, I think it's a rom-com. Like, it's fine."
Yeah, that's why I was like, I've seen this on some recommended thriller lists, and I was like, I don't think, like, the book is pink. I'm pretty sure this is romance.
It can be scary.
No, I absolutely loved it, and I did not picture her as having black hair, which is what the cover suggests. But I guess I should have, because she was described as goth several times.
Only wearing black.
Only
so I think this is actually Alicia Thompson's first novel.
Did not know that.
I only think this because she doesn't mention any other novels in her little fact like bio in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I looked at Amazon and didn't see any of the books listed with her. So I do think this is her first book, and it's with Berkeley. So I feel like when I read a Berkeley romance, I know I won't be disappointed.
Yeah. So going back to like those first 30, 50 pages where I was questioning whether I liked it or not, there were a few random, like, weird sentence structures or words that she used that I was like, I'm surprised Berkeley published her. But by the end of it, I was like, I get why they published her, because this was like cheeky, fun, romance. And what I loved was it had several like subplots, like the whole engagement, her brother getting engaged. She needed to deal with the trauma from her father. She had Sam, and I was like, this was an all around like A+ book.
I kind of liked how it didn't end with like them like running off into the sunset. Like they kind of just like were like, we're gonna date. We don't know if we're gonna get married. We don't know if this is gonna last, but for now we're gonna date. And like that's life.
Which was kind of anticlimactic, but
very anticlimactic, and usually against me, because I feel like I'm an epilogue. I would say queen, but maybe not the best. Yeah, I'm an epilogue queen. I love an epilogue, and I don't think this book, like, I think an epilogue would have been weird with this book.
Yeah, it had a prologue. No, yeah. Wait, what did she call it at the end? I thought it did have an epilogue.
It did have an epilogue, but it wasn't like.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal.
It was just like, oh, we're at my brother's wedding, the wedding that we kind of already knew about, and we're just dates at a wedding, and that's
and
it.
It literally ends with her being like, yeah, I could see us getting married. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, someday. Like, in the way far off future, maybe.
really down the line. I sometimes wish whenever people write rom-coms, they always like have that one single friend and they're like, oh, we're gonna set this up for a spin-off. Like, I feel like that happens a lot. There is not a single person in this book.
No, everyone's together with everyone.
I do like the librarian. Okay, so let's go back and should we get a synopsis?
We can give a synopsis.
We jumped right to the epilogue, so
we did. We just spoiled the ending of the book in the first 3 minutes of the podcast. So sorry.
Surprise. They end up together.
Oh my gosh. No, okay. So this once again, I feel like the synopsis are always kind of long, so maybe we can cut it as needed, but it says PhD candidate Phoebe Walsh has always been obsessed with true crime. She's even analyzing the genre in her dissertation, if she can manage to finish writing it. It's hard to find the time while she spends the summer in Florida cleaning out her childhood home, dealing with her obnoxiously good-natured younger brother, and grappling with the complicated feelings of mourning a father she hadn't had a relationship with for years. It doesn't help that she's a low-key convinced that her new neighbor, Sam Dennings, is a serial killer. He may dress business casual by day, but at night he's clearly up to something. It's not long before Phoebe realizes that Sam might be something much scarier, a genuinely nice guy who can pierce her armor to reach her vulnerable heart. Oh,
I did wish she would have held on to the serial killer theory longer.
Yeah, she did abandon it somewhat quickly. I was even thinking it would be such a great twist if in the epilogue it turned out he was a serial killer.
He died.
But that's just my twisted mind.
So I was naming the chapters with what I think the chapters should be named, but I did like up to 5 chapters in my notebook, but I left my post-it at work and I don't have the rest of my names.
Oh.
But I guess I can kind of pick up my thoughts from what I named them. Oh, my favorite name that I did was on chapter 3. And she brings the box over to Sam's house and she goes, that's a severed head. I'm gonna be very upset. Imagine like you have a neighbor just moved in, you don't know them, and they come over to a box and just drop the box and like, that's a severed head. I'm gonna be really upset.
No, I felt like when she first met him, when she pulls up and it's after midnight and it's dark outside and he appears out of thin air barefoot. I mean, I would have maced that guy. I would have ran to the house, abandoned my car, because that is serious serial killer vibes.
The midnight mover.
I think she was totally justified in thinking he might be a serial killer.
Yes, but she did stalk him like heavily.
Yeah, she kind of gave off her own serial killer vibes.
I thought the neighbor with that fed the cats, that was like kind of crazy. I would have liked her to be the serial killer. I wish someone would have ended up a serial killer. Like there was no real ones.
There was no, I mean, that we know of yet.
One person I very much disliked in the whole book was the brother's fiance or girlfriend. Shawnee. She was so annoying.
So peppy.
She was like trying to help her with like a grief book. And like, I would have been so annoyed.
The audacity, the nerve. like the nerve to be like, here's a book for teens about grief because I know you have unresolved trauma with your father, who's dead, by the way. Like, Shani. Also, they weren't really that close. Like, when they did the engagement, she said that was the only time they'd ever gotten lunch together or whatever. So I'm like, the audacity, the nerve of this woman to give her a book on grief. Oh, how dare she?
That had me fuming. And also like her brother being like, oh my God, yeah, like Shawnee's so nice for doing that. Like, I would feel like I don't like whenever they were trying to move in too, and she was like, please no.
Yeah, they kind of treated her like she was this broken person.
Yeah.
Like I don't like when people do that. And I'm on a Nesta kick today. I don't know if you saw, I posted on Instagram, but I'm on this whole Nesta kick because maybe it's because of this book and how they treated her. But I feel like sometimes when people are broken and they're dealing with it and working through it in their own way, and other people try and get involved in their way, even if their intentions are good, sometimes I just want to be like, back off. Like, I know your intentions might be good, but it kind of comes across as condescending. And when they wanted to move in with her, that's how I felt.
Yeah, like, oh, you can't take care of yourself, so let me help take care of you for you. Like, no, like she's older, she can live on her own if she wants to. Just because she thinks her neighbor's a serial killer doesn't mean she needs people to live with her.
Yeah.
That book just really pissed me off. Like, oh, I was so mad.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, plus two, I feel like some of her thinking the neighbor was a serial killer wasn't real. Like it was kind of joking, kind of like he could be a serial killer. And so the fact that her brother's like, "Oh, you have some problems, Phoebe." It's like, no, she's just like being cautious. You know, he could be a serial killer.
Also, she's reading books like day in, day out of serial killers. Like, I feel like you think of like everything as a serial killer at that point. Like, we read books all the time, and we like I think of romance all the time, more fantasy, because we read all these books. Like, this girl reading strictly serial killer books only. Like, she has to see it everywhere.
Yeah. It's like how I can't read Riley Sager thrillers at night because the first one I read by him, it wasn't quite paranormal, but it had maybe some like almost ghost aspects. And I was reading it alone in my New York apartment. And I would like read a sentence and have to look up, and then read a sentence and have to look up. Cause like it's scary, even though it's fiction. Although she was reading true crime, so that's actually nonfiction.
It reminded me of the time we went on that hiking trip with Lily, and you guys looked up like the housing like rapist like directory, and like that never crosses my mind to look that stuff up. Like, I've probably been to like a billion Airbnbs. I've never thought to look up that, and you guys did immediately. Like, it reminded me of that because you read a lot of Karen Slaughter books that have to do with like rape, and that
Yeah.
just never crosses my mind.
Yeah, it's why the thought of traveling to Mexico terrifies me because there have been like on the news those girls who go to Cancun or Mexico for their spring break and they get kidnapped and killed. And so I'm like, I'm just never going to leave my house. There are killers everywhere.
This is why ignorance is bliss. Like, that's where that saying comes from. Like, me
True.
knowing lack of rapists and serial killers.
It's true.
That's why we're reading a thriller for next week, and I've been pushing my way through it.
I love it. It's not even that gory, Kayla. It's like so tame. Like if you want a really terrifying book that will like make you look at the world differently, Pretty Girls, Karen Slaughter, you'll never feel comfortable in your own skin again.
I don't want that.
Highly recommend.
I want to feel good in my own skin.
My mom and I were talking about maybe going to a Karen Slaughter event, and she's like, but honestly, I don't want to be surrounded by people who like her books because they've got to be messed up. And I was like, oh yeah, so messed up.
I have been going to so many book events, and I really say it's like good for my soul. Like, I recommend it to every book lover. Like, I know nobody there. Like, I literally just go by myself, and it's just the best time. I walk out, I'm just like grinning. I'm going to ones that like of authors I don't even know now because I'm like, I just need to go to book events all the time.
Yeah, what was the one you just bought a book by this author? Where was the most recent one you went?
I went to Chloe Gong,
That's
which
it.
I have yet to read any of her books, but I did see like These Violent Ends and These Violent Delights. I've owned them on my bookshelf for a while, and I was looking on like the Barnes and Noble website because I stalk the websites, and I saw she was doing a book for her new standalone. I think it's her adult standalone, or maybe it's still YA. I forget. No, it's YA because she said she at the event she was working on her first adult series, and she was just so cool. And she complimented my outfit even. Like, we all got to sign books, and I was just like blown away by it. And I want to read more by her. She's actually at the Alex Astor event too, because they're all like there's 5 of them that write in New York City. They're all fantasy writers for YA, and they call them like there are a lot of younger people there because it's like YA, and they're like the Avengers, like.
I did not know they were called that.
I don't know, maybe because they're just like posting TikToks a lot.
There's
definitely a lot of younger people there. It gives me very like much to like Twilight vibes when I got into Twilight. Like I wish I went to more book events like that when I was like a teen and like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. But for me, it was
Yeah.
just a cool vibe. Um, I think I do like events at the Strand better because they're more intimate. And I went to the Jasmine Guillory one, which I've read like 5 of her books, and that one was fun because I actually knew what she was talking about.
Yeah. No,
But it was so good.
the Chloe Gong book that you got was one of the book of the month choices this month.
Yeah.
And
Oh, sorry. Continue. Sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say I almost got it, but I did try these Violent Delights, and it's a like Romeo and Juliet retelling, I think, but in China, I think. I don't know. Oh, also it was like in the 1940s. It was kind of weird, and I was listening to it on audio during busy season and just couldn't get into it. And I've always regretted it because like they're very like these Violent Delights is very popular on Instagram and TikTok. So you'll have to let me know if it's good.
I think this new, it's gonna be another duology. Is also a Shakespearean, like spin, like Shakespearean type book. I forget what the actual story is.
Mm-hmm.
So she like speaks, really likes Shakespeare. It's also set in the same time period. It's like a spin-off from a cast member from the first
Okay.
2 books. So, I think that's her thing. I think she's wanted to write more about her. I think she's from New Zealand, but I think maybe her
Oh.
family's from Shanghai. So she wanted to write more of like books like that. So more behind her history and like people can read more about that place, not like set somewhere where she is from, opposed to just America. So I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that. No, it was a really great event. I liked it a lot better than the Alex Astor event. I hate when it's just like Alex Astor's event was just like you got there, you got the book. She kind of talked for like 5 minutes super awkwardly, and like that was it. Where like the Chloe Gong one, the Jasmine Guillory, and then she like sat up there, gave a lecture, like not a lecture, but like a Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
I like when it's not chaos. Like I want to be told where to sit and organization because I just get awkward. And there's other events where I'm just like sitting there staring at like other people. I'm like, I don't know who to talk to. Like so weird. But I
But
signed up
you
for another
enjoy
one
it.
soon. Yeah, no, super fun. For which one I'm going to next, I signed up for it. It's someone I have not read either because I just keep signing up for them.
I read this really fast because I read like 150 pages one day and then 150 pages another day. Like went by really fast, I thought. Once you get into it, it's always really hard to get into a book, I think.
The first 100 seem a lot longer than the last 100, always.
Oh, for sure. I get through the last 100, 150 even so fast compared to like it takes me a solid 3 or 4 days to get 100 pages in sometimes because I
Yeah.
just like can't get into them.
It just depends on the book, honestly. Like for me, um,
Yeah.
I started reading. Now we're gonna read the Love Light Farm series for not the series, but the book first book of the series for our Christmas episode. I've read that one's the first one, so I brought home the third one by accident, and I started reading it, and I realized I'm like, oh man, it kind of gave away the 2 couples in the other 2 books, but
Oh, oops.
I started reading. It was like 40 pages in, and I was like, shit, like it's kind of good. Like I don't want to put it down, so I think I'm reading out of order. I need a break from all this murder and Zodiac Academy. Like I had no happy books. I needed
Mm.
one.
This one was happy, but I told you, like, I cried for the last 50 pages.
I think it was gonna hit you hard because of how much she is like you.
Yeah. Gosh, it's so annoying. I think that's also why I didn't like her at first. I was like, man, she's cringe and awkward and annoying. And then I was like, oh shit, she's me.
I one part I like particularly, which I think you might have hit hard on, is when the cat ran away and she was like, even the cat doesn't want to be with me. Like she was like having a breakdown, and then the cat was there, and she just started hysterically crying, and it wasn't really about the cat. And I can kind of see you doing that.
Oh yeah. Emotional breakdown. I was like feeling so bad for her because yeah, like also too, she felt like it was her fault. She left the door open, so it was like a failure. And then this cat didn't even want to be with her. Maybe she can't be a good cat mom. Maybe she can't do anything in life. Maybe she'll never love anyone and no one will ever love her. And I was just like, I feel this so deep in my soul right now over a stupid trash cat.
I feel like we're getting really deep into your psyche at the moment.
No, I mean, when her and her brother go to the abandoned house at the end, that serial killer's house, and they're having their talk, that like we don't even need to get into it. If people want to know about my psyche, read that scene, because that was like my whole psyche on a page.
I do want to know where she got like the book idea from. I wonder if she has any interviews online.
Did you see in her bio, she said as a teen she appeared in an episode of 48 Hours. She was in the audience of a murder trial. So I think she's just always been obsessed with murder.
Sounds also familiar. I just want to make you guys friends. Like I feel like I need to introduce each other to you to her, because honestly.
Yeah, like we might be very similar people.
She also lives in Florida. Which I feel like is a big, I don't know why I feel like Florida's a big murder state. Like I feel like shit always goes down in Florida.
Yeah, like when you see headlines and you're like, I bet that took place in Florida.
Well, that's the things like if you Google Florida man and like your birthday.
I've seen that before. Oh, Florida.
I like the cat aspect. It makes me want a cat. I was home for the day with my brother's cat. He hates me still, but
it's kind of a love-hate, right?
no, he's a hate. The thing is, I just want to like hold him and like pet him. Like I'm just a dog as a like I feel like if my personality would be like a dog, a golden retriever actually.
Yeah.
I just want to pet him and hold him, and he's like, get away from me right now before I hit you. And like that's like our dynamic.
When my parents got the puppy we have, well, she's a dog now, but when she was a puppy and they already had a cat, and the puppy just wanted to play with the cat all the time and would like pounce on the cat, thinking, because they were actually similar sizes, and the cat would just hiss and his fur would go up. Like that's you, that's me. I want to play with the cat, and sometimes they don't love you. Sometimes they bite and you pretend they're love bites, but they're not. They're hate bites.
When I like scratch him, and then like I'll scratch in a place that he doesn't want to be scratched, and he's like, and I'm like, I'm just trying to pet you, dude. Like I don't know what you want from me.
No, I like that aspect of the book, and I also liked how she made that kind of the gateway to her and her old friend reconnecting, because her friend was a cat person, and so she like texted her for advice.
It's always hard to make that first move, like reconnecting with friends.
Yeah.
And her friend didn't really do anything wrong, but I could also I would get mad too if I was her.
Yeah, I kind of wanted more information about why Phoebe was so, well, not like, I understand why Phoebe was mad, but I'm surprised the friendship ended over the event, the incident as they called it, because it was like I felt like they could have moved past it.
Yeah, I think she had a time where she was like shutting everybody out of her life, and it was just like she took that one event and was like, okay, I'm done. Like this is my out. I'm gonna cut you off now.
Yeah,
we're gonna block you. Like this is it.
I also related to her not being able to say I love you.
I liked how they took time before they like came back to like time to reflect. Like she didn't just like drive around the corner. It's like, oh no, just kidding. I actually love you. Like she went back to work, like went back to normal life. Like I don't know how much time has passed, but like she actually reflected, and it took like the moment where she had her success. And she's like, who do you want there with you?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, I want him because I love him. Like I don't know. It was a realistic like climb to it.
Yeah, no, their whole relationship, I feel like in some ways their whole relationship developed so normally. I texted you, I didn't like that she was the physical aggressor in the pool, because I felt like that was out of character, and maybe it wasn't, but I didn't feel like she was the type to just, I don't know, like jump his bones, and she did.
I feel like it showed that she liked him against her will.
Yeah. No, I loved their relationship. I liked that it wasn't enemies to lovers, because I think I'm moving past the whole enemies to lovers. I think I might be moving into serial killers to lovers. That might be my new vibe.
I think my favorite trope is fake dating.
I
love a good fake dating. And then friends to lovers.
I haven't read that many arranged marriage or forced marriage, but I kind of think that's why I love the From Blood and Ash stuff.
I
And
kind of like the idea of being arranged marriage.
I kind of love the idea of like being forced into a marriage against my will and then learning to love him.
But the thing is, you always hate mates. So I feel like arranged marriage is kind of mates. Like instead of your parents arranging it, like faith or like the universe arranges it, and you're like, I gotta love this person. Shit.
Yeah. Damn it. I didn't want to have to.
So actually, in Zodiac Academy, when fates are chosen, like the world brings the fates together, like bring your mates together, and if you say no, you'll be star-crossed, and you're forced to pine over each other for years, but never could be together.
Oh, I love star-crossed lovers. Yes. That is what I'm here for.
You would like Zodiac Academy, but just because you're just as twisted as I am.
It sounds like a big commitment. I didn't realize it was such a long series.
Oh yeah, no, it's 7 books are out, 8 books coming out in December, and they're all really long books. So
that's Harry Potter Throne of Glass level.
Yeah, and she wrote like little like prequels and like boys' point of view books. So yeah, no, it's taken a toll on my like I the start of the last book, the first 100 pages, I was just like sad reading it. Like it's just like I'm sad, but I'm gonna have to read it anyway because I can't get past this.
Yeah, I remember you texting me saying you didn't really like it, but you couldn't put it down.
Yeah, I think anybody who has the same upbringing, like a normal upbringing with like like I don't know, like you're just a healthy individual. I don't know if you like this book.
Honestly, though, if you get on Book Talk, everyone is kind of twisted in the reading community. Like that's why we all read books, I think, because we're slightly messed up.
Because we need an escape.
Or we need to see ourselves in a character to feel like, okay, maybe I'm not so far off. You know, maybe serial killers to lovers a real thing.
I think you should do a blog post of books that made me feel like the main character next.
Love of the Time of Serial Killers. It's literally about me. No, I really liked this book, though. I really just like, she incorporated so much into this book that I related to. The problem is, I'm not sure other people will relate to it. If I mean, like, you're not a Phoebe.
No, I don't relate to it at all, but I still like the book a lot. I think I'm like almost the opposite, where I think I'm the brother, where I'm like painfully positive despite adversity, like annoyingly so. And that's my problem. So I related to the brother in this book, although he kind of pissed me off sometimes, but
he didn't piss me off. He was just like a giant child. I loved when Phoebe said something about Sam said something about the kids had a great time, and she's like, oh, what about my brother? And he's like, I said the kids, that includes your brother.
I didn't like how she thought of herself as a bad influence on Sam, because whenever she did say that, like sometimes like, oh, I'm just a bad influence, he's making these dark jokes now, but like maybe that was always him. Like she didn't know him well enough to know if that was him before or not.
Yeah, or she brought out like a side of him that was goofier and darker and funnier. Because
there's something wrong with being dark, and I do think I know I'm positive, but I think it could be dark a little. Like we have our jokes. I do have my like side of twisties, but I generally, I did not relate to Phoebe and her way of like thinking of everyone as a serial killer. Yeah, but that's because ignorance is bliss. Like I don't really watch 48 Hours, or like I'm getting through Karen Slaughter's book like painfully because it's just not positive.
Which is so funny because, like I said, it is literally probably the tamest Karen Slaughter book I've read. Generally, like she didn't even go into details about how this woman was murdered. She didn't like give extra details or do any sort of sexual assault stuff. Normally, all her books involve super degrading torture sex scenes.
We'll get into that next week, but
you're reading a very tame Karen Slaughter.
Overall, I give this book a 4 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5. I loved it.
I could have done with more sex.
I could have done with an actual serial killer.
Priorities.
I would love to see a spinoff where we find out Sam actually is a serial killer and she's okay with it.
I wanted the neighbor to be that like missing serial killer of Florida that they didn't know about.
That would have been a great addition and twist to the book.
We'll keep that in mind. I actually started my writing class this week.
Ooh.
I know, I'm scared.
Is it just one day a week?
Yeah, it's 2 hours though.
Ooh, wow. Do you have to bring your laptop?
Yeah, it's 7 to 9 or a notebook with 7 to 9. And they want me to show up at 6:30. So like it's kind of like my whole night, but I'm excited.
Wow.
And they have like homework and assignments. But I think it's what I need. I feel like I need to sit down, like make myself sit down and write. So I'm excited.
That's like all the advice I keep seeing for writing is like, if you want to be a writer, you need to practice writing, which is why I was like, I'll start my blog and that way I'll write like once a week. But it's not creative writing. So I've been looking at doing classes too. I just like, I don't want to spend money if there are free classes out there. But then if there are free classes out there, are they good classes?
That was my thing. I was like, I don't know why. I just felt like I need, if I paid money for it, I actually will sit there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I wanted an in-person class. I don't do online. So
yeah,
that is my take on that. I actually don't even know if we need, I think we probably need to wear masks, but I think they just started doing in-person classes. So we'll see how it goes. Stay tuned on the writing journey. But I think next year will be my writing year. This year I'm gonna read 700 books. I'm 3/4 of the way there. And then next year I'm gonna buckle down to my goal only to like 50 or 40 and just like really write more.
Wow, that's exciting.
If we have time. It's so hard nowadays.
I know. Oh, and my problem is I want to do everything. Oh, that was another thing I related to Phoebe. Someone said to her, you're either all in or all out. And it's like, I am so an all in or all out person. And so like right now, I don't know if you've noticed, I've been posting on TikTok, Booktalk, like 3 times a day. I've been trying to do reels on Instagram. I've been trying to like start up my blog and do this other Instagram thing. It's like all in books right now. And I know I'm going to get burned out. And like in a month, there's going to be no posts for like 3 months straight.
Yeah. I know you. Well, thanks for listening. This is Kayla.
And Marissa.
And make sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Booktalks Podcast. Thanks for listening. Oh, and check out Marissa's new blog.
Sidecharacterenergy.com. For all
Have
my
a good
side
night.
characters out there.